Okay, so this is continuing Explore and Explain 2 for 8th grade, lesson 1. We were just talking about the asteroid hypothesis, the hypothesis that an asteroid collided with Earth, and that was what made all of the dinosaurs go extinct. So they used technology to understand the crater and figure out how it was formed, how it's changed. This is some of the different technology that they used. So they had drill to figure out the crust and actually collecting the different kind of layers of rock. They also had this computer model to kind of figure out the ring and all the debris and where it went, and even imaging from space. So you can see the semicircle that formed this outer rim right here. Look at the radar image. Here it is. Trace the edge of the impact crater on land. Use a dotted line to complete the outline of the crater in the ocean. So interestingly enough, while these look similar, they want us to basically circle this outline of the crater. Looking at it, I just want to make sure. I'm going to scroll back up here. Right there. Perfect. Okay. The impact of this crater is right here, so I guess I'll put a little circle. I wish I could make it clear. Trace the edge. Okay, if you gotta trace the edge, you gotta trace the edge. So here's this to trace. Trace the edge of the impact crater on land. To me, this looks like what they're talking about. But then there's also this. Use a dotted line to complete the outline of the crater in the ocean. So hold on, let's make sure it's clear. I feel like that's not clear enough. Here's the crater here. Dotted line to show where the crater was also in the ocean. That must be magical to see. Would love to see that crater. All right, and then we're saving that. There's no additional information that we had to fill out on this page for those of us who were wondering what happened in Explorer 2. That was the last video. We did the craters, and then we've come down and done our own drawing of the crater here. Hands-on lab we're not doing because you are not able to be in school and have all these materials necessarily. If your teacher does end up assigning it, you're just going to call me and we're just going to do it one-on-one. That's better than doing it on here because everyone will get different data. So that ends the lab right here. So now we're talking about crater size and the size and speed of an asteroid. Looking at a crater can tell you a lot about what made that impact. Walter Alvarez estimated the size and speed of an asteroid required to cause mass extinction and used really complex calculations. So sometimes people ask me, why do we need math? Well, you might be the next person to understand why a mass extinction happens, which is really amazing. So a large asteroid has a large amount of energy and produces a large crater. A small crater was likely formed by a small asteroid. To me, that's just kind of what I think would make the most sense because the size of a crater depends on the energy. High energy, it's going really fast, you'll have a really big crater. Low energy, small crater. The age of this magnificent crater we're talking about, they had to figure it out. Was it before the layer, after the layers? They dated the rock layers. They found these like isotopes, which are like radioactive in the layers, if you can believe that. And there were tiny sea creatures at the time. They were able to use those to help figure out when the mass extinction occurred because they were left on the rock. Just so neat. If you have to do something in your evidence notebook, we're just going to do it personally because you have your own personal details. Analyze craters on the moon, look at the craters in the photos of the moon's surface, and compare and draw conclusions about the size and speed of the asteroid that caused them. So look, this right here must be a big like asteroid going very fast, right? But this maybe a smaller asteroid not going as fast. Okay. And which ones are older and younger? Ooh, okay. The older craters are the ones that have dirt filling in on them. Because they were hit so long ago, they have had time for dirt and other materials and minerals to fall into the crater and start to fill it back up. The newer craters have stronger lines and noticeable holes. This is because there hasn't been enough time for the crater to fill with dirt. All right, which craters were formed by energetic impacts? So we were talking about this high energy, it's going in deep. So we've got like, which ones are the like heavy holes? You can see holes. So I'm gonna say the big ones because higher mass, you go faster. The bigger craters have deeper, have more mass, and that means they were heavier. The heavier the asteroid, the faster it moved and the more energy it probably had. Right, so small ones can move quickly too, but we're just thinking, I am thinking in terms of gravity, so maybe it's going to say that it's not the same, but once it gets on Earth, it is subject to gravity. So a big crater has more mass and will be heavier and moving faster. Well, I shouldn't say move faster, it will be create a larger impact. The more energy that is in the asteroid that will be transferred during a crash and impact with the land. Okay, so big craters have more mass. That means they're going to be heavier. The heavier that asteroid, the more energy that is in the asteroid that will be transferred during a crash and impact with the land. The more space that the asteroid takes up, the more damage there will be. Right, these huge asteroids create more damage right here than right there. Exploration 3. Describing the effects of this collision. So we can take data and find a correlation. A correlation doesn't necessarily mean this is exactly what happened. You have to have multiple tests, but right here they're talking about airline passengers and fruits and nuts. So this is how many airline passengers were in the US, and this is how the growth in fruit and nut production. The graph shows that the number of people and the amount of fruit and nuts produced follow the same pattern, right? They're following through a pattern. That means there's a correlation between the number of flying and the amount of nuts. This does not prove one causes the other, because just because people are flying doesn't mean that, like, because they're flying they're eating a bunch of fruit and nuts. There's no natural correlation there. You can't explain why. It just happens to be that they both have a correlation, but it hasn't proven causation, right? It hasn't proven that they rely on each other. The correlation between the airline passengers and fruit is positive. So if you see a graph like this where it's going up, that's a positive correlation. If it was going down, that would be a negative correlation. Still correlated, just in the negative way. Okay. It can have an underlying cause that would cause both. So if you sell more cars, then there's going to be less car accidents, possibly, or more car accidents. Both variables could be caused by increased gas prices. If you have higher gas prices, people will buy cars that don't use as much gas. Higher gas prices mean people will drive less, but sometimes it actually is the cause, but it's hard to get there to find the exact explanation for why one variable is changing another. Okay. So here's one example. They're talking about pesticides and bird population. Pesticides cause the birds to lay eggs with really, really thin shells. So pesticides kind of eats away the shell that they needed to be thick. And so it was really, the birds had trouble hatching, possibly because they were weaker. So here's the pesticide residue and the eagle population. Here's all the harmful pesticides. So here we have harmful pesticides starting in the 1970s, right? So the bald eagles are down here. There are not very many. Okay. They start to get rid of the pesticides in the water, and the eagles start to be able to they're starting to have more pairs of eagles growing in that area again. All right, back to asteroid collisions and using that kind of correlation and causation. They know that the events happen at the same time, right? There's an asteroid, dinosaurs go away, but did the dinosaurs go away because of the asteroid? That's causation. All right, here's asteroid collision on Earth systems. Can cause a wildfire, can cause rocks and matter to turn into gases, can cause tsunamis, and can cause earthquakes. Which effect would cause a decrease in photosynthesis? So if we have wildfires and you burn up all our plants, I know that for sure. But a lot of these require sun. And tsunamis, I mean, if the hard part about this is that it really depends on the systems, and the systems are very connected to each other. So I could see why people would say different things. But really, we have to think about which two are going to relate to the sun. So when we're talking about the sun and plants, so really, ejecta, that's where all the material and rocks get into the oxygen and different parts, and smoke and dust, as well as getting rid of any energy source for the plants. So that's ejecta and wildfires. Like, they would have organisms affected near them, like it says here, if there's tsunami and earthquakes, but it's not as like long term as ejecta and wildfires. So I guess which would have caused the most decrease in photosynthesis would be an even better question. Okay. They were trying to draw conclusions and argued that the asteroid was not enough to cause the whole extinction. And then some scientists were saying there are also volcanoes going at the same time that was also releasing gases and caused climate change. So they said not just like an asteroid, but also the volcanoes. Okay. It says synthesize and analyze correlations. I'm going to stop here to create a new video for Explorer